Now, I'd like to go over briefly an example of how to, one, just find and think about data to use in a multinomial context, how to estimate a multinomial regression, as well as how to interpret it. And an important part of interpretation, because log odds are so difficult to think about for the reasons that we just kind of expressed in the previous video, we're going to stress prediction as a way of interpreting our results. So for the example that we're going to be using here, we're actually going to be using something from my own research in which we're interested in when and where religious groups expand. So we can think of religious groups in the context of a religious economy, right, where they're competing against different denominations for followers, and they're also operating in a political marketplace, right? Like there is a government that determines policies for regulations on right to worship. There's funding through the state. And so having alliances with governments allows religious organizations to maybe gain an upper hand in a religious marketplace. So what we're interested in determining which of these two factors is driving or motivating the actions of religious groups, we have a couple of groups of key variables here. So we have the number of followers. You might think that a religious group wants to support its existing members, but it also wants to ward off competition from other denominations. So we've got the percentage of people in a given country that are Catholic, and then we also have the percentage of people who are either Protestant or evangelicals. And for many reasons that I don't really have time to explain here, those are the key groups in which Catholicism has traditionally competed with. So again, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be looking at how the Catholic Church allocates key administrative resources through these things called dioceses. And basically all those are different subgroups within nations that are jurisdictions within the church where they administer different amounts of funding. And so an increase in dioceses is a strong signal that the church is allocating greater amounts of resources to that country. Our outcome then is going to be just the change in dioceses. So dioceses often will change boundaries because the church is either allocating different resources, like more parishes, which, like any other type of institution, comes with it certain power and influence. So again, the outcome that we're going to be interested in is an increase in dioceses, no change, or a decrease. The main predictors, like I said, are our population variables, and key is whether or not the government is Christian, specifically Catholic. So again, we want to make sure that the government is not Christian, but of a different faith that would be competing against Catholicism. To give you a sense of, one, the coverage that we have, so again, the time period that we're working with is pretty long. It's from 1900 to 2010. We're going to be doing this within 16 countries. They happen to be located in Europe primarily, as well as Latin America, which, again, because of the Catholic Church is what we're talking about, those are the primary geographic areas of competition for the church. And importantly here, these 16 countries all experience at least some shift in the government, so we don't have all non-Christian or all Catholic governments. And importantly, all of these countries experience some change, so increase, no change, or decrease in dioceses. To start off, we're just going to load in the data that we have, and we're going to run a real base multinomial regression. So here we get our estimated coefficients for both increasing and decreasing for all of our covariates. Now what? We're going to breach that question in the next video.